Let's talk about psychological safety. There's a lot of reason that psychological safety is getting a lot of airtime. It is the ground zero of a lot of elements in the workplace that are necessary for success. Psychological safety, when it's present, means that people can innovate more, they're more likely to be creative, they're more likely to learn from mistakes, they're more likely to have buy-in and not resist change, and effectively they help teams perform much better at what they do. Psychological safety is the willingness, in fact, more than that, it's the expectation that people will be able to speak up about mistakes or errors. They'll be able to raise things that are difficult or express disagreement in the workplace. If you don't have psychological safety, one of the things that you quite often find is that you'll get a lot of resistance to change. You'll get people who have meetings outside of meetings, and you won't necessarily get people who can admit mistakes or learn. And often, in fact, you can develop a culture of blame and or dismissing other people's concerns. Psychological safety is something that is interesting because if you ask leaders, do people feel psychologically safe around you? Most of them will say yes. Nobody likes to consider that people don't feel safe around them. But in actual fact, we're really poor judges of whether or not people feel able to speak up about us. Why is that the case? Well, firstly, it doesn't matter what your intentions are or how receptive you feel that you'd be to feedback. There is often a power differential in the workplace where people feel uncomfortable about that. The second thing is they may have had other managers or leaders in the past that have said, or colleagues that have said, speak openly, and that may not have gone well for them. And thirdly, they may have had difficult personal experiences that make it hard to admit mistakes or to speak up. So what does that look like in practical terms? As a leader, it means you need to repeatedly make it really clear to people the expectation is that they can and should speak up. It means that you need to model that by also talking about your own vulnerabilities, your own mistakes or errors or things that you're not sure about. And it means expending energy in meetings, for example, to add things like, I'm not sure I've got this entirely right, I'd appreciate the feedback, or everything I've said may not make sense, there's a lot of information in there, there are probably some really good questions that would be helpful for you to ask, or we're not going to get this program right straight away, so what are some of the ways that we can improve things? So as a leader, you have a responsibility, particularly if you want to be a good one, to harness all of the skills and resources in front of you, and that means having psychological safety.